Today, Her Majesty's ship, the Rose, stands tall in Captain's Cove Marina in Bridgeport after completing a voyage to New York Harbor for the Statue of Liberty's 100th birthday. But 2 years ago, the replica of a Revolutionary War frigate looked as if the only trip it could possibly make was to the bottom of Long Island Sound. But the ship's owner, Kay Williams, believed the Rose could be restored. And by last Thursday, when it was time to set sail for New York Harbor, folks in Bridgeport were looking to Captain's Cove and the Rose for inspiration. Since the ship was still without an engine, the Rose had to be towed to New York. On board, 60 workers and volunteers who had helped to prepare the ship for the trip. A dozen reporters, local and state political leaders, and other invited guests. But even before we left the cove, there were some tense moments when the ship seemed to float out of control. But after the shaky start, the HMS Rose set off for its date with the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor.
It took a little cooperation between the two boats, but I think we finally worked it out, and I think the most exciting part of the trip, it may be over.
But the excitement didn't end there. As the Rose approached the Brooklyn Bridge, shipmates had problems bringing down the ship's tallest mast so the Rose could squeeze under the span. And at one point, one daring crewman had to cling tightly to the mast when the wake from a passing boat shook the Rose and nearly sent him tumbling into the East River. After the mast was lowered, the entire crew held its breath as the ship barely slipped under the Brooklyn Bridge.
I don't think that was going to make it, though.
Once past the bridge, the Rose was ready for action. In this case, a confrontation with a replica of the HMS Bounty, owned by millionaire Ted Turner. And 10.5 hours after leaving Bridgeport, the HMS Rose approached its final destination, New York Harbor. It was greeted by an estimated 40,000 pleasure boats and ships. By late Thursday night, the Bridgeport flagship was moored just 4/10 of a mile away from the statue, just in time for the lighting of Lady Liberty. The next morning, after a steak and eggs breakfast, the crew was greeted by a water show, jets flying overhead, the battleship Iowa, from which the President and the First Lady viewed the military vessels, and of course, the tall ship parade. For carpenter Juan Lopez of Spanish descent, the festivities and the torch lighting had special significance.
Everything remind me at 25 years, and the way that we came here. I came to this country with 25 cents. And after that, the country was good with me. Now I have more than 25 cents. And I'm glad to see, for this point of view, the Statue of Liberty.
The HMS Rose may not have been in the tall ship parade, but you can be sure that her presence was felt, especially when she fired on passing sailboats. Unfortunately, gunman Bill O'Brien received facial burns after getting too close to a cannon, but that didn't stop him for long.
Ready! Ready! Fire!
But the firepower of the Rose paled in comparison to the display of pyrotechnics that set New York Harbor ablaze Saturday night. For the Rose and her crew, the fireworks served as the trip's ultimate reward.
It was unbelievable. It's the experience of a lifetime.
Right now, all I can say is, boy, what a great country. I mean, it's where else but America? This is it. I mean, look at it.